So let me get this straight. We're deporting brown people. ICE, without warrants, is terrorizing Latin families as they scream and cry, terrorizing kids who are brown and Latin, deporting people who've been paying taxes for years and years and years in this country with no criminal activity at all. But we're going to be taking in white refugees from South Africa and take care of them. And you tell me this administration is not racist? Hell yeah, they are.
I don't ever want to hear that Trump isn't racist, because what's happening right now is 1000% about color. He's targeting innocent Latinos and deporting them, tearing families apart, even deporting Americans. He's deported American children with cancer without their medical supplies. On top of that, he's deporting people that are actually in the legal process of becoming Americans. Meanwhile, on Monday, he is welcoming white, keyword white, South Africans into America. He's providing them housing, prepaid phones, weather appropriate clothing, groceries, house furnishings, all while also saying that Latinos are draining the economy. Are you, like, be so fucking for real. Be so fucking for real, because these are the same Latinos that work multiple jobs. When have you seen a Latino immigrant begging on the street? I'll wait. Latino immigrants work multiple jobs, don't even qualify for the benefits that he falsely claims that they are abusing. Babe, they can't even get these benefits. They will sell you flowers, wash your car, wash your house, wash the dishes. They do everything. They don't qualify for these benefits. You think if they qualified for these benefits that they would have all these multiple jobs, babe? Oh my God, like, at this point, I just don't want to hear it. I feel like there's so many people that I know personally that have been gaslighting me, constantly saying, oh, Trump he's not racist, he loves Latinos. Then make it make sense. Make it make sense. And then the ACLU has already reported there has been so many US citizens that have been arrested and detained because they have been racially profiled. Yeah, for the color of their skin and for speaking Spanish. So please, I don't want to fucking hear it. It is about race. It is about color. If you're black and brown in America, you are targeted. And right now they're trying to get rid of habeas corpus, which is going to eliminate your right to resist arrest. So yeah, for all the Latinos that voted for Trump, babe, it's you or me next at the end of the day. Like, this is about color. This is about preserving whiteness. This has always been that. And, you know, I don't think that we are at a point to, like, blame the people, the Latinos that voted for Trump anymore. I think it's just wake up. Like, there's literally nothing that he's doing that's going to benefit you. Nothing. And I don't think that you need to wait for it to, like, personally affect you for you to wake up. I really beg and implore you to do your own research and just wake up. This isn't right. This is so sad.
Here's a little information about the Afrikaners. Pause to read. But basically, they're the ones who set up apartheid, they're the ones who maintain apartheid, and they're the ones who want apartheid to come back. Essentially, they want white people to be superior and people of color to be beneath them. Now, today, white Afrikaners are saying that they're being persecuted against by a black-led government, very falsely claiming that attacks on white Afrikaners on farms is racially motivated and led by the government. Even though the crime rate against farm workers are much lower than the rest of the country, and both black farm owners and workers are also unalived in these robberies. They're also criticizing any kind of laws that tries to, even in the smallest way, redistribute wealth. Like redistributing land that was not being used by the government, that there was no plan for, that the Afrikaners, after being contacted, did not respond, that land, after all that process, was going to be given to a black farmer. And these kind of laws were important because black people in 2024 in South Africa owned only 13% of the land. So those are the reasons why white Afrikaners feel so oppressed under a black-led government that they just have to leave. So the Trump administration has fast-tracked them coming to the U.S. The first group of about 24 Afrikaners are supposed to arrive Monday at Dulles International Airport. And that's just the tip of it. There are nearly tens of thousands who have expressed interest in coming to the U.S. And with Trump fast-tracking their paperwork, these Afrikaners could be here any day now. And remember, the Trump administration canceled the refugee status of nearly 20,000 people who were already set to come here. People from Afghanistan, Iraq, Pakistan, people escaping real persecution. People of color escaping atrocities are not allowed to come to the U.S., but white supremacists trying to leave, minority rule are welcome into the U.S. Remember to share this story so we can get the information out. And remember to keep up with news stories like these, sign up for my newsletter, check out my podcast on one of my other social media channels, link in bio.
Something really sick and regressive is beginning to rear its ugly head in regard to race and how it correlates with nationality here in the United States of America. So let's go ahead and put this into perspective. Entrance into the United States for anyone seeking refugee status or asylum is essentially shut down. People from a range of countries in Central and South America, Africa, who were 80 to 90% through the immigration process were denied once Trump took office. We have literal teenage girls being face planted onto the pavement by ICE and children with cancer who are United States citizens, by the way, being deported to other countries with their parents. But just go ahead and guess which group or demographic of people are receiving preferential treatment and were essentially ushered in luxury from their native country to the United States of America due to the fact that they are experiencing racial persecution in their country. The Afrikaners, the white South Africans. Elon Musk didn't have any influence on this, right? If you know anything about the history of apartheid in the country of South Africa, you will very well understand that them claiming to be facing any type of racial persecution is bullshit. Apartheid was a system of institutionalized racial segregation and discrimination that lasted up until 1994 in the country of South Africa. And in result, 72% of the farmland in South Africa is owned by 7% of the population, and that 7% is mostly comprised of descendants of Dutch settlers, aka colonizers. The main reason why a lot of them really wanted to leave is because President Ramaphosa signed a new law that allows for expropriation without compensation due to very specific circumstances. I want to reiterate, they make up 7% of the population and own almost 80% of the land. Over 30 years after the abolition of apartheid, the president of South Africa is trying to impose some type of equity for black people in South Africa. I genuinely don't get it. Does the majority of white people around the globe just want black people to continue to live in poverty to their own benefit? What is so terrifying about having an equal and, more importantly, equitable society? A harmonious society where everybody can freaking thrive. It's such an issue and taken as a threat, and it's so shitty as a person on the receiving end. And let's be real, all of this is a slippery slope to actively and lawfully target black Americans, trying to overturn things like birthright citizenship, removal of all things DEI, which really means removal of all things Black American. I'm gonna need for a lot of y'all to wake up and smell the coffee, and as always, it's your girl Day. Comment your thoughts down below.
Told you MAGA does not know what they believe in. Say we make everything about race. Donald Trump got rid of the refugee program. Rid of it. Dunzo. No more people in our country. And MAGA's like, yeah. Even the brown people, the brown Latinos for Trump, yeah. But then the Trump administration has decided to let in white South Africans. And it's not even about race. They're making it about race. They have to be white. You can come to the US if you're white. We will roll out the red carpet. We will fly our planes over there and buy you plane tickets. And you know how wrong this is? The Episcopal Church just announced we're done helping refugees with the Trump administration. Why? Because you're allowing white South Africans in and not Afghans, not Venezuelans running away from corruption. And stay tuned, more white South Africans are coming, and MAGA will be cheering them on.
Child, this whole Afrikaners thing, moving to the United States or seeking refugee status, has had me so perplexed all day, and I just thought of something. You know how when we speak about systemic or institutionalized racism here in America, white people tell us, if you stop talking about it, it'll just go away. You black people are just perpetual victims. Nobody who is alive today is suffering from anything that had to do with slavery, anything that had to do with systemic racism. All you got to do is work hard, pick yourself up by the bootstraps, essentially. But when it's a person of a certain hue and they're claiming racism, it's taken seriously. So serious that they're being chartered across the world from another country and given a care package. So you mean to tell me that there are millions of Americans who are severely disadvantaged, can barely afford rent, don't have $400, $500 to their name for an emergency, but we have the funds and the wherewithal to fly some white people over into our country and give them essentially reparations? Bitch, you gotta be joking. And I'm just gonna say this, it's either one or two things that's allowing this to happen. One, Elon Musk has something insane over Donald Trump's head, and Donald Trump is afraid for this information to come out. And I would go as far to say that it probably has something to do with this most recent election. Remember, Elon knows the voting computers so well. Or two, they're gonna begin ushering white people from around the world, regardless of their nationality, because they see the declining birth rates. No one is going to be able to convince me that this was not a racist, white nationalist move by this current administration. And with that being said, as always, it's your girl Day. Feel free to comment your thoughts down below.
Do you really get how fucked it is that the administration was going through people that were here legally, going through like shit that they wrote, shit that they posted, and revoking their visas and deporting them? Some people were deported to El Salvador accidentally. You get how fucked that is? And then just for that same administration to bring a bunch of white South Africaners to the country and be like, yeah, see, these are real refugees. Like, you get how fucked, do you get how fucked this really is? And it brings me back to the start of the presidency, when the white South Africaner, Elon Musk, did his Nazi salute twice. And now, the only refugees being allowed into our country are white South Africaners. My thing is, why do they keep denying that they're racist? Why do they get so offended by being called racist when they do shit like this? Do you?
So yesterday, we received a plane with 54 white South Africans, refugees. Now, I don't know a lot about what's going on in South Africa, but I do know that these 54 refugees are claiming discrimination in South Africa by their government. They're claiming that the government is stealing their land. Now, if you don't know what happened in South Africa, let me tell you. South Africa had this thing called apartheid. The apartheid only ended 30 years ago. It's not that long ago. The apartheid is pretty much what segregation was here in the United States. It was whites only, blacks only. During this time, the government stole a lot of land from black South Africans and gave it to the white South Africans. Now, there is a black president in South Africa, and he wants to give the stolen land back to the rightful owners, back to the family that he originally belonged to. He's trying to do this the legal way. The white South Africans don't like this, and they're claiming that the government is stealing their land that they stole from black South Africans, and they're saying it's racism. White South Africans still hold a lot of the power in the country. Okay? Yes, they're the minority, but they hold a lot of power and they hold a lot of the wealth. They also get paid a lot more than the black South Africans. So, Elon Musk, a South African, that's white, convinced the Trump administration to grant refugee status to these white South Africans that are being discriminated and persecuted because they're white. And it's very ironic that they're giving refugee status to white people who are fleeing violence and persecution, while simultaneously removing the refugee status from people of color who are also fleeing violence and persecution. So it's not about that they don't want immigrants or help refugees. They just don't want to help.
So let me start this conversation by saying that this is something that I've never said quite, like before. After years of covering controversial topics, political hypocrisy, and the raw truth behind immigration in the US, I have never seen the level of blatant racism surface online the way it has over the past few months, since January. Let me just put it that way. The reaction to this, the Afrikaans being I don't know, how should I put it, traveling or imported, whatever. This has caused a lot of reactions on TikTok. So here's what's going on. So the Trump administration, as you've heard, just approved refugee statuses for 49 white South African, a group known as Afrikaans. They speak Afrikaans. Now, before we move further, let me talk about who the Afrikaans are. So these are indigenous. They are not indigenous to South Africa. They are the descendants of Dutch settlers, colonial powers who came to South Africa hundreds of years ago. And despite all of this, they are now being classified by the US government as victims of persecution. So much that they're being granted asylum and they were flown into South Africa, Dallas. They landed in Dallas. I think it's been 4 days, because that was Monday, right? But here's the thing, because it gets the South African government has publicly stated that there is no credible evidence that this group is being persecuted back home in South Africa. There's no ongoing campaign against them. There's no, state-sanctioned violence targeting them. And yet they're being granted full refugee protections in the United States. So many Latinos, especially those who backed Trump, this decision has opened their eyes, I guess, in a way that the elections didn't, I guess. Because for years, many believed the narrative that deportations were simply about legality, about undocumented status. I mean, that's what they were told. Only undocumented refugees will be deported, okay? It's not about national security. And now they're beginning to realize that maybe that was just a story. Allegedly, maybe. Okay? So what makes this situation especially painful for the Latino community is not just the fact that these Africans were accepted. It's how they were welcomed, okay? So reports suggest that they came into the country. They will receive full benefits. That's what I hear. Anyway, that's a rumor, allegedly. So we're talking about free housing, okay? Prepaid phones, groceries, allowances, healthcare support, and more. Meanwhile, countless Latinos who've been in the country for decades, working, contributing, paying taxes, can barely get access to food stamps or housing assistance. So the double standard is clear, and it's rubbing people the wrong way. People are angry, and I understand the anger. I mean, who wouldn't be angry, okay? Especially if at some point, black folks try to warn you about this. If you put the pieces together, the answers are there. So many Latinos in particular are expressing a deep sense of betrayal. They feel betrayed by, Trump. They feel like they were used, okay, to vote for him and all that. And then he turned against them, deporting them, even though he told them that he's only going to be deporting the undocumented ones, but they've been targeted as well, So now they are watching newcomers who look a certain way, of course, get priority treatment. It's hard not to feel betrayed anyway. And here's the part that has people feeling even more betrayed. When exactly did asylum become a wide open door again? For the last few years, we've been told that the refugee status was being tightened. And I think for the past 2 months, something was signed that stated that there will be no more allowing immigrants in the US. So what changed? What suddenly makes the Africans, the white South Africans, an exception to all of that? Let's not pretend. Let's not pretend like we don't know the answer. The writing is very clear. The message is very clear. I mean, we can't be fooled. We're not kids, right? It's becoming increasingly obvious to many Latinos that their loyalty was transactional. Many voted for the boss, hoping that he would, accept them, he would give them order and economic stability. They believed they were on the right side of immigration, I can say, policy. But now it's starting to look like they were only useful until their vote was cast. And now as these white immigrants are ushered in with open arms, those same Latino communities are being quietly, pushed aside. Before these guys even arrived in the country, they've been deported like no man's business. Yes, it's painful, but it's also a necessary truth to confront. If you're still trying to make sense of what this means, let me put it plainly. Let me try to explain. So Latinos, okay, this is how they're feeling, and this is how I feel, and this is how we see it. But this is how, this is reality. This is what is really happening. Latinos were used, right? And now they're being replaced somehow. That might sound harsh, I know, I'm sorry, but there's no sugarcoating what this looks like. Okay, so a group that helped secure a political victory is now being told, subtly or otherwise, that they are no longer needed, and in their place we are watching a deliberate shift toward welcoming people who fit a very different profile. So what are we going to do about that? The only thing we can do is wait, we'll watch, we'll hold these systems accountable, because the truth is this story is far from over. America is now in the process of welcoming a new class of refugees, and it's going to be very telling how this plays out in the coming months. Are they going to be monitored the way other immigrants have been monitored? Will their documents be scrutinized? Will they be detained in facilities for weeks or months? Will they be stopped by cops, or will they be quietly placed into neighborhoods with full support, no questions asked? We already know the answer to that. We are already seeing it. This moment is about more than one group of people getting asylum. It's about what it exposes: the racial double standards, the manipulation of entire communities, and the ugly truth about how immigration is often used as a political tool, not a humanitarian policy. So as this unfolds, I want to hear from you guys, what's your take on this? Do you believe this refugee decision was justified? Do you think the Latino community has been misled, obviously? Or do you think there's still a bigger picture we are still watching? Or are we missing something here? Please let me know what to think about this. What's going to happen? I know we all have answers to this, just that personally myself, as the one who's bringing this news to you, I cannot put it here. But your comments are allowed. Let me know what you think about this in the comment section down below. Make sure you turn on that notification bell if you haven't already. And I'll definitely see you in my next video. Please stay peaceful.